That honky tonk, but donk. Last episode, welcome back to Narcissu, episode number 4. In the last episode, our dad was at the hospital, and in this episode, we're about to steal his car, maybe. So I grabbed the silver keys. It happened as if on impulse. I had no idea what my motives were either. I just seized them without a second thought, as if I were looking at a scene on TV. In the few days' worth of meds that I'd been dispensed, I stuffed those into a bag and I headed down the corridor. And I snuck past the nurse's station and quickly strode towards the elevators. A bag in my right hand, the keys in my left. The long-neglected driver's license in my breast pocket. In front of the lounge, and the next thing I saw was the girl sitting there watching TV as per usual, staring blankly and boredly at that screen, sitting on a little foldable chair. Hey, that show any good? Does it look that way to you? No, not at all. The all-too-expected exchange. Her eyes looked as far away as they'd always had. Well then, shall we go together? What? I continued talking as I showed her the keys in my hand. See, I don't want it to be at home. And I don't want it to be on 7F either. Well then, shall we go together? Okay. With that, she stood up from her chair. Her hair swayed with her and grazed the tip of my nose. And then she too stuffed a day's worth of meds in a bag, and we made to leave 7F together. I switched off that boring TV. The grating laughter of the MC was forever obliterated. Both of us in pajamas clad boarded this elevator, heading down from this top floor down to 1F. At 1F, we headed not for the ER entrance, but for the outpatient clinic's entrance. Whoosh. The cold winter air struck away at our faces, all the more strong in a wide-open space like the parking lot. The two of us wandered around the spacious field, looking about ourselves with unease. And after a little while, we came across my father's car. The silver coupe, my father's pride and joy impeccably maintained. I immediately inserted the key and opened the door. Click. Go ahead, get in. Very well. Thud. I sank into the driver's seat. She was in the passenger seat, but she was so short that she'd have a hard time seeing the road. I turned the key into ignition and stepped lightly on the accelerator, just as I'd learned during training. Reassuring engine noises filtered into the cabin. I released the handbrake and then applied the clutch. Now we could go anywhere, that was our plan. Alright, let's go. Okay. She nodded slightly. Instead of replying, I shifted into second gear, and the car accelerated smoothly. Unused to the clutch and swerving slightly, I advanced slowly. You're swerving. Yeah, it's my first time in a car. Well, it's the first time since I got my license that I've driven a car. I see. The exit to the parking lot was now in view, and the largest road beyond it, without traffic lights. I turned onto it. Beep beep, the sound of honking car horns. Those are directed at me as I cut into the road. The silver coupe complained but did not stop as I worked the unfamiliar clutch and stiff gearbox. I must have really rubbed the other drivers the wrong way, as the honking of horns did not seem likely to cease. But I just continued to drive without caring much. None of it quite seemed real. Hey, what is it? Are you scared? Do you want me to be? No, not really. Still before noon, the high-flying sun. The skies of January, above and beyond the windshield. Skies so blue that they seemed almost in mourning. We had no destination. On that cold day with an alien clutch and a swerving car. On that day when we drove onto the highway in our pajamas. On that very day of winter. Oh shit. Oh shit. Around when that blazing high sun had changed into a dusky orange. We were continuing to drive, just driving in any direction at random, in a place I did not recognize. We're stopping for a bit. Okay. I finally brought the car to a halt, a roadside somewhere far away from civilization, no traffic anywhere to be seen, lonely. Having stopped the car in this nameless place, I started inspecting around the cabin. If there was anything useful in here. We'd just run off without any preparation at all, but there was something troubling leaping out at me. With that on my mind, I first scoured the dashboard. There's nothing here at all. A couple hundred yen cluttered around the gear stick, a few manga volumes, and a cheap disposable camera. It wasn't as if we had a destination, but the onboard GPS navigation system looked broken. And I only had about 8,000 yen on me. That was all the money I had lying around when I up and left. So combined with the pocket change I'd found, I only had about 9,000 yen or so. Of course, I hadn't really expected that there'd be anything in the car anyway, but this lack of money presented a problem. It wouldn't be possible for us to find lodging on this budget. And it didn't seem likely this girl would have any money on her either. Is something the matter? No, it's nothing. Whatever. I'd have expected this from the beginning. It wasn't as if I thought this through enough to have things like a plan or a schedule. I just wanted to get out, right then and there. I did not want to stay where I was. Underneath the curtain of twilight, I started up the silver coupe again. Hey, are you hungry? I asked her as I drove along. Come to think of it, she hadn't eaten anything since morning. Want me to stop at a convenience store or something? No. Hey, don't be like that. And the food's much better than anything up on 7F. She did not respond to me. Instead, she looked straight down at the pink pajamas she was wearing. Oh yeah, that's right. I looked down at my own clothing. Sure enough, in these pajamas we'd be conspicuous no matter where we went. Not that we weren't conspicuous right now. In any case, we'd have to do something about them. And having made my decision, I steered back toward civilization. After a little more driving, we arrived in a place whose name I did not know. Probably somewhere close to a rail station. Certainly enough people around for it to be the case. There's gotta be one around here somewhere. I looked around anxiously as I drove, my back pitched a little forward, not touching the seat. Ah, there one is. At last, a coin laundromat. It looked pretty run down from the outside on the first floor of a small forlorn building. This was as good a place as any. I stopped the car not far from the entrance to this place. Alright, I'll be back in a second. Thud. Leaving her and her confused face in the car, I walked towards the laundromat. My nose was filled with the smell of bleach and detergent the moment the automatic doors opened. The exterior of the laundromat had told no lie. The washers and dryers were old and run down as well. There's nobody here. The empty laundromat swallowed whole my murmured words. Only a single dryer was in operation, making its characteristic humming noises. I immediately walked up to that machine and checked its timer. It looked like it would operate for 30 minutes on 200 yen, and only 5 minutes had elapsed so far. Whoever it was had probably gone elsewhere to kill time. Ruminating over this, I looked around just one more time to reassure myself that no one was around. Then, satisfied that I was all alone, I put my hand on the door handle of that drying machine, and I abruptly opened it. Kerthunk. Its door opened during operation, and the dryer spun to a forced halt. I pulled out a clump of half-dried clothing, ignoring the heat and humidity. After looking around once more to make sure no one was around, I walked out of the laundromat just like that. Click, thud. Oh, she sounded slightly surprised when she saw my arms full of clothing, but I threw the clothes in the back seat without a word. Alright, let's go. I looked back at the bundle of clothes with the steering wheel in one hand. Gaudy-looking sweaters and jeans and almost nothing else. All in pretty big sizes at that. All still wet, but the car's heating would dry them out soon. Change into whatever you like later. She didn't react much to those words either. She just looked back at the pile of clothes. Look, we had no choice. I know. Well, obviously it wasn't as if I liked doing this kind of thing. And it wasn't as if there was anything else I was saving that money for. It was just that given the amount we had, it would be very difficult to buy new clothes. After I'd driven for a bit, around when the moon shone full above us, I stopped the car next to some public park. Probably a place for some children to play, tucked away in the corner of a residential area. And there I started to look through the clothes I'd stolen some time back. They were mostly dry by now, thanks to the heating in the car. All men's clothing, after all. I had inspected the heap once more, a veritable mountain of gaudy jeans and sweaters. Probably someone around my age, around the same size looked like. And sitting in the driver's seat of the car, I changed into a pair of jeans and a sweater. Hey, you should get changed too. They're all too big. Then will you go on wearing pajamas forever? Fine. She answered reluctantly, grabbing some jeans and other clothes and opened the door. Hey, where are you going? To get changed. And just like that, she started walking to the park bathroom. Click. Hey, that was fast. She'd come back in short order. The pink pajamas she'd been wearing in her hands, a white shirt and a pair of jeans on her body. Well, that turned out fairly well. No answer. I'd expected this, but everything was too big and baggy on her. The jeans were too long and rolled far up at the cuffs. The sleeves of the shirt were much the same way. The pajamas were better. Come now, don't say that. It's a little warmer this way, at least. She made an only slightly dissatisfied face at my words. Oh, is that it? Were you hoping for more girlish clothes? Not really. The same response as ever. I was sure she was unhappy with her baggy shirt, but she soon returned to her usual lack of expression. Swish. It had begun to rain all of a sudden. A freezing rain falling from the frigid January sky as if it had forgotten how to stop. The countless raindrops spattering on the windshield and obscuring the view from the inside. And when each grew too large for surface tension to hold it up, a few of them gathered, slid down, became rivers. And these rivers swallowed up raindrops underneath them and ran to the bottom. I stared emptily at the rain from inside. A parking lot somewhere, a desolate place in the middle of the mountains. Having finished up shopping at the convenience store, we were spending the night here. The dinner menu: 2 rice balls, 500 milliliters of Pocari Sweat, half a bag of potato chips. It's been a long time since we did anything. How did she buy half a bag of potato chips? I guess they're splitting it? I don't know. She murmured with convenience store rice ball in one hand. It wasn't anything of wonderful quality, but it was far better than anything served up in 7F. And we were both going after the potato chip. She suddenly stopped reaching for it. Is something the matter? Not really. But her eyes were turned past the windshield glazed by the rain, at a few white flowers on the roadside. At some flowers soaked by rain. I didn't know if someone had planted them or if they were wild, but I remembered something about them. Were those Narcissu? Those are narcissus. Oh right, narcissus. Well, I didn't know flower names all that well. At least I'd heard of narcissus before. And this girl who seldom spoke of a single word was actually talking about something. And so I followed along. And speaking of which, are these not exactly the real deal as well? Yeah, something like that. So they must be pretty rare then. Not really, you can find them anywhere. Anywhere, and where exactly? It wasn't as if I'd had any deep purpose in asking, it was just that I was making conversation as best I could. Yet this girl thought about it for a bit, and slowly opened her mouth. West. West. Awaji Island is famous for them. Awaji Island? Hey, wait! How far away do you think that is? I just started driving a car, so I wasn't even halfway proficient yet. It was probably about 700 kilometers away. Even on the tollways, I couldn't say how long it would take. And in the first place, I didn't think we had enough money for that. If we went by normal highways instead of tollways, there's no way we'd have enough just for gas. Hey, don't say stuff like that. You can't mean to go there, right? Who said I wanted to go? What? I just answered your question. And just like that, she went to staring at the flowers across the windshield. The thick haze of the cold rain streaming on the glass. She kept gazing and gazing and gazing. I didn't particularly want to go there either, but I had nowhere else that I wanted to go. Shit, alright, hold on. Hold on. What the fuck? Did I fuck up? Oh, I fucked. Alright, hold on, give me a second. Thank you for watching. In the next episode, we'll make it to Chapter 3. I'll figure it out. For now, I'm gonna get the fuck up out. Bye-bye.